Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
I've been in the Area Essence Festival since 1995. I came that year with my mentor, and we spoke. Well, he died in February this year, but I want to continue what he taught us, because even when times look bad, even when they look dark, I remember what my mentor taught me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, keep hope alive. Even if you can't figure it out, keep hope alive. Even if it doesn't look like you can make it, keep hope alive. In memory of Jesse Jackson, say that with me tonight. Let him know on July 4th from New Orleans, keep hope alive. 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 Thank you, God.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you're qualified, and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
It is such a pleasure to be here with Reverend Sharpton and this entire congregation on Juneteenth weekend to not only celebrate freedom, but recognize the work that is still to be done to ensure that that freedom is within the grasp of each and every New Yorker who has helped to build this city. Thank you for having me, as always.
Where's for? Oh, I see I'm in today's New York Times word puzzle. And they're asking what is Al Sharpton's title for short. It's Rev. I didn't know everybody knew that. But the people in the New York Times, they should call me Rev. They should call me Reverend. No.
Keeping it real.
Thank
I'm
you for
Dominique
joining us for
Sharpton, Reverend
Weekdays Live
Sharpton's
with Reverend
daughter,
Al
sitting in
Sharpton.
for the Rev. Rev is in Miss Wisconsin. I'm sitting in the hot seat. It's Exhale Friday. We're taking your calls. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Welcome to all those who are now tuning in, watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. And good afternoon to the message board and all those who are contributing and commenting and exhaling with us virtually at nationalactionnetwork.net. Good afternoon to you all. I know that the Corey Ruiz funeral was playing and folks was watching Rev doing the eulogy, and certainly and this call to action, and certainly I feel in this moment right here we are, another moment. We've got a call for justice. We've got a call for equality and the liberation of our people, and really just calling for answers and accountability and things that we feel we must, of course, proclaim and really protest in this moment. Certainly a critical one, and certainly one that we are going to, of course, write about and hear about and be about in the history books and in the history lessons to come. And certainly, as I always say, you want to be on the roll. When they talk about what was going on in 2026 in the midst of this 18-year-old boy whose body was found washed up on shore, and nobody has answers as to what happened to him and how he got there. When we are asking questions when a police officer encounters a civilian and the civilian's life is lost due to this encounter. And people are constantly asking what happened and why hasn't anyone been held accountable for the life of this young man, for the life loss of this young man. It raises the questions. And when history records that diversity, equity, and inclusion was challenged. And when history records how millions of people lost their access to quality health care, lost their access to jobs, lost their access to adequate health housing, the question becomes, well, where were you when all of this was happening? What were you doing when these things were happening in this country? I want to be able to be on that roll call as one who stood for justice, as one who was vocal, right? Calling for action, calling for in this time relief and justice and accountability. I want to be on that role. I don't know about you, but I want to be on that role. Exhale with me, y'all. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phones and speak with Janice. Janice is listening to us from Baltimore, Maryland. You're keeping it real, Janice. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, not too bad today. I'm calling because I keep seeing these emails from this Dwayne Mullen guy, who's the secretary of something in Trump's cabinet, and he keeps threatening poll workers and people who work the polls, the voter registration people, and the people who collect the ballots once people vote, with prison time. And I'm like, if they can lock other people up for threatening somebody over the phone or through the mail or email or something, this man has the power to actually come and lock somebody up. Shouldn't these people or the DNC challenge him, take him to court for threatening these people's livelihood?
Absolutely, and I don't know what's on the horizon, but I would definitely, absolutely challenge that. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I wish that they would do it, because I'm really sick of all these tough guys with their daggone mouth.
I know that's right. But I also will say, and as they're talking about, I think that these are tactics, right, that they're using to discourage people from actually voting, and discourage people, make people feel like, all these things are happening around, and that their votes are being challenged, and that they're just making it harder. And I think that these are just scare tactics that we can't compromise, we can't fold in, and we've got to stay strong in our stance. And that's why I think we've got to re-energize this commitment, Janice. Like, again, what side of the fence you gonna be on? We got to re-energize this commitment, because we can't let any little thing, keep us on the sidelines. And I think that that's what these things are intended to do. That's why they send so many. I get them too. I'm like, come on now, what's going on? Why are you harassing me?
Right. And here's my thing. If the DNC would challenge them in court, then maybe some of this would stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you know that they're doing it to scare people, that's what intimidation is all about.
That's
to scare somebody from taking action. And in this case, you're definitely coming after a specific person, and it's no clear motive. They haven't done anything. So I think they ought to take them to court. Hell, Trump take the people to court over nothing. So why can't they?
Absolutely. That's something that needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon, because enough is enough. Thank you so much for exhaling with me, Janice. Mrs. Richardson, let's go to you, listening to us from Chevy Chase. Always a pleasure speaking with you. You're keeping it real, my love. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, my darling. Dominique, it's so wonderful that you're here, because these questions about the money that's been going to this defense is what I'm concerned about, and I hope you will agree with me. They're spending trillions, and Dominic, I know you know that's what they're doing. This man in the White House, he's throwing it's like he's deliberate. I think we know he's deliberately doing it. To take taxpayers' money. Some people say, well, it's not the taxpayers' money that going to the defense. Now, I don't know. Maybe, Dominic, you can clarify that up if I'm wrong. But I thought a lot of that money is taxpayers' money, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. Of course it is. That's what we're talking about here, Mrs. Richardson. That's what I'm saying. If you got money to do that, then you're taking away money from our adequate schools. You're taking money from adequate housing and any other thing that we need in our community. Because where is the money coming from? It's got to be cut from something else, right? So where's that coming from?
Be cut. And see, but there are people that will get on this radio. Our people, at that, not white people. Our people would get on here with this stuff about, oh, well, it isn't the taxpayer money that's going to the defense. And I wiggled my head. I said, what? I mean, if it's not our money, where's Donald? Well, you know, I don't like to say his name. Where's this man getting the money? Are they just printing the Yeah, are they just printing it at the Bureau of Engraving and just being allowed to just go somewhere and it's not our taxes? That doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
So I'm saying, you know, see, what I was saying about a year ago anyway, and Dad was on, your Daddy there, and we were talking, and Dad agreed with me, is that we should cut that defense like a loaf of bread in half. Because, see, what this man in the White House is doing, he is sending our young men, our African-American men in the wars. And this is an unnecessary war that this man started. That this man in the White House started the war with Iran. He started it. It wasn't Iran. You know, Iran was very lame. They were lame. They weren't bothering us. They were certainly making, you know, certain things that they needed, you know, that they weren't going to tolerate from the U.S. But they weren't bothering us. And this man set it up to where they had all the combative weapons and everything be geared to attack Iran.
Yes.
And now we have to pay for it as taxpayers, trillions of dollars, Dominique. And then what I'm saying is they're already saying it's pushed over 40. This deficit is going, what, over 40 trillion? Or where's it at?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? I mean, I just don't understand it because, you know, I don't know. But I'm just going to emphasize with this and just hang up and say, if we do not understand as a people, because, see, they don't respect black people, period. They don't. And we've got to go out there because, you know, when Reverend Al was, since the Wall Street, you know, oh, I didn't know whether I could hold on for one more minute.
Sure, you can hold on. We're going to take this break. I'm sitting in the hot seat for Rev, taking your calls. It's Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared. And they try.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there. And act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Part of the Democratic Party's perception problem is that they are more democratic than the Republicans. The Republicans kind of like stay in line, where the Democrats do tend to have more internal debate and allow other voices to be heard. So in whatever mild defense I would give of them, even though I want them to be fighters more and stand for something, I would say the fact that you are allowed to dissent in the Democratic Party. You're not allowed to dissent in the Republican Party, so the Republicans get everybody that agrees with them going positive, whereas it dilutes the Democrats' support because one day you're mad, one day you're not mad at your own party because you're allowed to express that more. So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation, you must be disciplined and do study, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slave and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human. We are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is. Is a house of justice. It is really an intersection of both emotions. Because when I was 11 or 12 years old, so I watched the news a lot and I became enthralled with the image of Adam Clayton Powell. I was around 11 and I convinced my mother to let me come up to this church to see Adam Clayton Powell. And in those days, people in Brooklyn used to say it's dangerous to go to Harlem. And folk in Harlem used to say it's dangerous to go to Brooklyn. Now, to 135th Street, and I came, sat right back there, and Adam Clayton Powell walked down this platform. And I remember after the church, in those days, Johnson, the pastor's study was right beside with the plexiglass, and I knocked on the door and I told the secretary I wanted to meet Reverend Powell. She looked down this little 11-year-old boy. She said, really? She said, who should I say? I said, Reverend Al Sharpton.
That call means dignity. Means we're gonna walk side by side with you or through you. We're gonna be with dignity and integrity. We don't want any more than you have, and we're not gonna accept any less than you have. That's my thought.
Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton here. We're back. Taking your calls. It's Exhale Friday. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. I was speaking with Mrs. Richardson before the break. Chevy Chase. Mrs. Richardson, you still with us? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, dear?
Yes, I can.
All right. Yes, dear. Well, what I'm stating is, Dominique, our grandchildren and great great grandchildren. I mean, I don't. What I mean, at this moment in time, as you and I talk, what is the future going to hold for them? Mm-hmm. Because already the cost of living index is terrible already. People can hardly buy furniture or anything anymore because of the taxes. And another thing, if you're going to a drugstore or a grocery store and buy a child can go to a store. That's why so many children are taking stuff from the store. They can't afford to get a candy bar because now you can go into a store, for yourself and get a candy bar. What, it's $3 and something? So I'm saying the cost of living from getting something like a candy bar or a bag of chips or all this, which is nothing but junk food, and we have to teach our children more nutrition. I'm glad I did it with my children. They're all living. None of them are gone, Dominique. They're all here.
God bless you.
And they've got successful positions, and everything. And I'm just saying we have to stop the myth that if we bring our children up right, that is not necessarily saying that they're trying to be white. You see, they keep putting this emphasis on, am I right or wrong?
I love it. I love that. That's good. That's good.
Well, I mean, Dominic, you have a son, right?
Oh, yeah. Big boy.
And, that's right. We're going to bring him up with the most nutritionless foods and things to have. And that would weigh his health. And I know you're going to do that because even Michelle Obama, our first lady, was trying, and Dominic, some of our people attacked her for that.
Yeah.
About her bringing about nutrition, what we should eat?
Well, it's because, and again, we're talking about economic justice here, Mrs. Richardson, because we're also talking about, yes, it's important to promote healthy foods, and it's important that you expose your children to nutrition and, the better choices, right? But the better choices cost more, right? And if we're talking about economic justice, we're also talking about, well, can mom and dad afford how much nutrition costs in our communities today? So that is another layer of the conversation. It's like you may want to, we all want to lead and have, the best access to the best foods and eat organic foods and all that, but that costs money. So you got to make that money in order to buy into that, and so that's why, a lot of our, especially black leaders are getting, Michelle Obama and others got, criticized for that, because it's like, great, you want to promote healthy food, but you also haven't given us, some of the tools that we need to make the money to buy the healthy food or give us the access to the healthy food. And that's where, the parish programs and things put into the schools were very impactful and made a big difference, because you give children access to the nutritious foods, to the quality foods, then they will choose ultimately to make, they will make better choices and choose the healthy foods over what's most accessible or most affordable. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what's best for you. And so, so there's layers to that conversation, Mrs. Richardson. And so I thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for exhaling with me, as always. I want to talk about the Justice Department, Ms. Richardson, because you brought that up. and really about the trust factor here, because I think, and according to reporting, they're saying that the Senate Judiciary Democrats are raising concerns about whether the Department of Justice funds or settlements could be used in politically connected ways under this Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, let me be clear, and I want to bring this into the conversation. These allegations are concerns. They're being raised, right, but not really proven misconduct. And the fact that this question is even being asked actually tells you something. Because here's the problem here. And when people stop believing that justice is neutral, right, they stop believing that justice is real. And so if we are going to raise the alarm in terms of how we are encountering, the criminal justice system or the Justice Department in general, we also need to be very aware of the tactics and strategies that are being used to work against us, right? And believing that justice can be attainable or justice can be real for all of us, not just for some, but for all of us. And we've seen this before. We've seen this in the South, right? When local systems, of course, refused to protect Black lives, and we had to stand up and fight for the end of segregation and all of those, for the actual laws to change. We've seen it, right? When federal intervention, of course, became the only path to accountability, and we had to call for special prosecution and things like that in order to intervene and work towards obtaining justice. And again, this is why the civil rights movement, didn't just demand rights, but the protection and the enforcement of rights, also very, very important. And obviously still the demands that are still alive today, that we still fight for today. And, and so my dad, Reverend Sharpton, he spent many decades, right, going into courtrooms and going into communities and marching in Washington, D.C., saying the same thing, that we're not going to let justice be selective, right? That's why National Action Network exists. That's why we march, Mrs. Richardson, right? That's why we sit in rooms of power and still say, we're watching y'all. We're watching you. Don't think that you are trying to pull the sheet over our face. We see you. And this is because justice, can't depend on who's just in office, right? It has to also depend on whether the system is accountable and whether it's working for us. And that's exactly why the March on Washington on August 28th is so important and it matters. It's not just for ceremonial reasons or for us to just commemorate a moment that happened in time where people came together to raise, their voices around issues. It's not just about that. It's about who is accountable, and for them to be knocked off their feet so uncomfortably, to see so many of us standing strong that they have to pay attention to the issues that are concerning us, to see massive demonstration and massive people who stay true and committed to raising these alarms, that knocks them off their feet, that knocks them out of their comfort zone, to have to pay attention to our stance, to our visibility, to our voice. That's why we're going to Washington, D.C. That's why we continue to challenge these things from so many different levels. And that's why we stay committed to this cause. And it's not just about, whether you trust the Justice Department to be independent, no matter who's in power. It's not just about that. It's about making sure that we are constantly elevating the charge for justice, for equality. That is what's going to matter in the end. Who is staying committed to this? Who is staying involved in pushing and fighting and standing and speaking up? So it's got to be us, and it's got to be us, and it's got to be us, and it's got to be now, and it's got to be continuous. Okay? That's where we're at. Thank you so much, Mrs. Richardson. Thank you for exhaling with me, and certainly want to invite all of you to do the same. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And For the record, yes, Reverend Sharpton is going to be at the rally. Somebody asked, is he going to be at the rally tomorrow? Reverend Sharpton is on his way back to New York to be at the rally tomorrow at the House of Justice, starting live at 9 o'clock. You want to get there early if you're in New York. 6 Hancock Place is the House of Justice, the new address, the new House of Justice. And we want to see you in the building. 6 Hancock Place. We start live at 9. And Reverend Sharpton will be in New York to join us. And then also, it's going to be a very important weekend on Politics Nation. So also want to make sure that you tune into that. Rev is going to have some very important guests on this weekend. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton begins live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss it on MS Now. All right, I said those. Rev wanted to make sure I got that in. But we're going on a break. Dominic Sharpton, I'm sitting in for Rev on this Exhale Friday, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back, y'all, with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
This for FM radio even took off. And Hank Span said to me, he said, Reverend, I was doing a show there with him with Reverend Jerry West out of Church of God in Christ. And he said, Reverend, he said, I know your youth group. And I was about, at the time he called me, I was about 16 to 17. He said, did you have a young guy in your youth group named Teddy? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, well, I got unfortunate news. I said, what happened? He said, Teddy was with some other guys, and they were driving near Albany, New York, got into a car accident, and Teddy is dead. I said, no. I said, he came to our meetings. We used to have little youth movement meetings out in Brownsville, and I think he was from down south. He said, yeah, that's right. That's why I called you. I said, why? He said, well, his father wants to do a memorial for him. And I told him he should do it for you and donate the money to y'all. I said, well, you can't raise an offering at a memorial. He said, no, I ain't talking about an offering. We talking about him doing a concert. I said, a concert? He said, yeah. I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, you didn't know who Teddy's father is? I said, no. He said, his father's the godfather of Soul James Brown. That's how I met James Brown. And James Brown came and did 2 shows at the RKO Albee Theater, that's now the Albee Mall, and gave the money to us in the name of his son. He and I developed a relationship over the years. He would bring me out. I think he saw the son he lost, and I saw the father that I didn't even know where my father was at that time. So I'm in my 20s now. And I went down to see James Brown. By then I was an activist, and people knew me. My youth group had become known. And I used to go down and see him back and forward. And I was in his office in Augusta one day. And I said to him, I said, you know, Mr. Brown, we're trying to get a national holiday for Dr. King. And I said, you ought to support us. Stevie Wonder's out there with Mrs. King trying. He said, I ain't got a march. I can talk to the president. He hit the intercom and told the secretary, get the White House on the phone. And I said to myself, yeah, right. And we went on, took me out to lunch with his entourage. We come back about 5:30 that evening in his office. Secretary hit the intercom and said, the White House is on line 9. So I'm like, really? And he got on and he said, I want to talk to the president about making Dr. King's birthday holiday. And whatever they said they would get back with him. Later that evening, before we left his office, they called back and said, January 15th, Mr. Brown, President Reagan will meet with you. So he hung up the phone and he looked at me like, okay, now, who is the Godfather? He said, they bring me to the White House to meet with Reagan about Dr. King's holiday. And January 15th is Dr. King's birthday. And he said, I'm going to take you with me. I said, really? He said, yeah. So about a day or two before January 15th, his secretary called me and said that you got a ticket at the airport. Mr. Brown wants you to fly down, meet him to go back to Washington. I said, fly down, I can meet him in Washington. He said, no, he wants you to come to Augusta and fly back with him. So I flew down, flew back with him. While we were on the plane, I never even told Kadir this story. While we were on the plane, headed to Washington, his private plane had been in repair, so we were on Delta Airlines. His bodyguards was in coach, we in first class. He looked at me, he said, Reverend, he said, you know Bobby that used to be in the Famous Flames with me? I said, yeah. He said, he got a hair salon here in Washington. He don't sing no more. I said, oh yeah? He said, yeah. He said, I want to bring you by there with me because I want you to do your hair just like mine. I said, okay. He said, yeah, because when we walk in the White House, they're going to be press everywhere. And I want them, when they see you, you look like my son that I put into you. And I said, yes, sir, Mr. Brown. But I looked out the window. He was on the aisle seat. I was next to the window. And I looked at the window. And as I looked out the window, tears kind of swelled up in my eyes because it occurred to me that my father never asked me to emulate him. And here was a man being a person that made me feel like I was worth him emulating me. And we went and met with Reagan and Vice President Bush, headed back to Augusta. He said to me on the plane, he said, do me a favor. I said, what's that? He said, promise me as long as I live, you'll keep your hair like that. And I said, yeah, but he never understood. What he gave me was a fatherhood that I didn't have. He's the biggest entertainer in the world, wanted me to look like him. Nobody else had given me that. And well, thank you, President Dr. Kimber, and to all of you on the board. I wanted to personally make this appeal from National Action Network and Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, that we've been moving around the country organizing to deal with the question of redistricting when they have used the Supreme Court now to redraw lines that will in many ways break up majority black voting districts. It means that they dilute the strength of our community. It will cost probably 19 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. But as important, if not more important, it will not address the needs of those constituents because they don't have a block vote to say we're going to put in somebody that wants to do what is right for us or not. And that does not necessarily all the time mean a black person, but it gives them power. In Memphis, Tennessee, the majority black district congressman supported and reelected several times by the blacks there was a white man named Cohen. So we see this as an undoing of the Voting Rights Act of 65 and the Civil Rights Act of 64. So on August 28th, we've asked people from around the country to join us in Washington, D.C. for a mass march. We've had some marches and rallies in Mississippi, some in Montgomery and Selma, but we need a national march led by the clergy, led by the faith leaders, like it was in the 60s, that will say it is a moral outrage that we would, in a time like this, disenfranchise wholesale black voters by repealing the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and by turning the time back. We've heard from a lot of groups, but we need this to be church-led. National Action Network is appealing to you, the president. Reverend Dr. Boise Kim has been on our board for years. and knows this well, and the many of you that are on the board. But we need to send a national message in a peaceful, nonviolent gathering led by the clergy, along with Dr. King's son, along with his daughter-in-law, and along with other leaders. But it's time to dramatize it. We see the No Kings March. We see everybody out there rallying. Where's our voice when we're the ones being disenfranchised? We're the ones being attacked. And I think that if we would stand up, the people will step up, because the people understand the gravity of the hour. And I think that we are called upon at this point in history to do what those leaders of the black church did before our time and in our childhood. So I thank you, President Kimball, for giving me an opportunity to make the appeal to the board itself. You have the information. We're going to have buses from all over the country. Those churches that have buses, we give information. Those that don't, we're willing to help supply them. But we need to show a big number right in the nation's capital. History should not say they stripped us of everything and there was not a national response led by the black church. Thank you very much for these few minutes.
I don't even question it. I just head to the airport and get the details on the way.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. Keeping it real. It's Exhale Friday. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev today. As y'all know, Rev is in Wisconsin, where he has flown to stand with the family of Corey Ruiz. He's joined attorney Benjamin Crump and the family to lay this young man to rest today for the funeral services. And Reverend Sharpton delivered a very powerful eulogy, and attorney Crump followed with a really important call to action as we are really mobilizing and organizing and really trying to really chart out our activity in terms of what we are doing in this moment to raise the call, to fight for, to stand for, to advocate for justice, for equality, for getting the answers to our questions answered, to really standing for accountability and who should be held responsible for what is happening to our loved ones, to our children, to our young men, as we continue to stand in this moment for the Corey Ruizes and the Nolan Wells and so many others, countless victims whom we know we must continue to stay in the fight for and call for justice and activity around how we stand for and call for that. And so Reverend Sharpton is in Wisconsin. He just delivered the eulogy for Corey Ruiz and was in Atlanta on yesterday, standing with the family of Nolan Wells at the National Association of Broadcast Journalists convention in Atlanta, Georgia. And so full circle moment for the Rev. Rev is really working hard, standing for victims and really working to elevate our call for justice, to amplify what that looks like in today's fight, in today's struggle. And as we galvanize and mobilize to march in Washington, D.C. On August 28th to defend the vote, to stand for and defend our rights, we know that we must continue to do, right? Not only to be, but to do everything we can in this moment to raise the alarm and to continue to advocate for and push for the progress that we know we deserve and wish to see. I'm sitting in the hot seat. As I said, it's Exhale Friday. So we're taking your calls across the country. You can certainly join in on the conversation. Got a lot to talk about and want to hear from you. Take a deep breath and exhale with us on today. Call us at 1-877-532-4700. 5797, 1-877-532 5797. And we're joined as we are every Friday by the one and only my brother, the Reverend Dr. Charles Williams, who has joined us. Many of you know who he is. Everybody knows who he is. But certainly he's the pastor, of course, of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church and chairman, of course, of National Action Network in the state of Michigan. My brother Charles, how you doing? Good afternoon. Happy Exhale Friday.
And it's always good to be with you, and very, very, very belated happy birthday, but happy birthday nonetheless. I was looking in my
Thank
email
you.
box for the invitation because my wife and I was looking for an opportunity to go to the beach, but we missed it. We missed it this time.
Hey.
We
Well,
missed
you
it
know
this
I'm a Leo, so you know Leo celebrate all season, right? And so it's not too late, brother. It's not too late
Maybe
to
if
celebrate,
I save
okay?
some money, if I save up some money, maybe I can afford that Virgin cruise that Ricky
Right,
Smiley and
right,
them
right.
got going.
Ricky Smiley got going on, right? We all want to be a part of
Man,
that.
oh my goodness.
It looks
Everybody
amazing.
gonna be there.
I know, right?
Doesn't it?
I was like, can somebody like put us on? Like, can we get
What?
like, all right, you don't want to talk about no panels, no empowerment conversations need to be had
Right.
on this cruise or nothing. I mean, what's going
Well,
on?
if you get to hook up, you make sure you let me know because I will.
For
Me and the wife
sure.
will definitely be there. So that's my birthday time.
Hey.
Nevertheless, it's always good to be with you for another Exhale Friday. For another Exhale Friday. So much has happened throughout the week, as you well know. We continue to have to deal with police brutality. We continue to have to deal with the strange violence that's entering into our community that is likening unto the strange fruit that we've heard about and that we saw in history and past. And so whether it's Mississippi or whether it's Milwaukee or whether it's Wisconsin, we got to keep fighting this fight.
That's right.
And so that's the reason why I'm fired up. I'm fired up to get to Washington, D.C. And I hope folks is prepared to do their part. You know, we talk about Reverend Sharpton going from city to city and all of this and recuperating from knee surgery and at the same time continue to keep going and keep going and keep going. But you got a part to play too, and it might sacrifice a plane ticket, maybe it might sacrifice a bus ride, or maybe it might be a sacrifice for a drive up. Head to DC with us, be there with us August the 28th, where we're going to march and we're going to make our voices heard and make it very clear that we fed up and we're going to stand up against all of this. So join us by going to nationalactionnetwork.net, as well as if you want to call and get direction on where buses are leaving all across the country, 877-626-4651.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for that, Charles. And we got some folks that are holding on, wanting to exhale with us. So let's jump right into it and go back to the phones. And I see Brother Raj is holding on, listening to us from Cleveland on WERE. Brother Raj, good afternoon. You're keeping it real with Dominique and Reverend Williams.
Hey, I don't say ladies and gentlemen, but lady and gentlemen. How you guys doing?
How are you?
Alrighty. Yeah, I was listening to the first caller. I was listening to the show, but I agree with the first caller and Jihad, yesterday. Yeah, they were both. He was touching on what Jihad was touching on, and I agree. Like, okay, you got the voters. A lot of the black voters, they want everything in one shot. Even you had mentioned that too.
Yeah.
Instead of just see, and that's my thing. Like they don't have enough clarity as far as I see. Like, okay, perfect example. The Michigan voters. Now they voted more for what was Saeed's opponent? Haley Stevens. Yeah. Now she's now AIPAC put $40 million behind her to knock out Saeed, and good thing she lost because that AIPAC. Okay, that it's too many black moderates, too many moderates in the Democratic Party and AIPAC candidates and officials, and that is like to me today's moderates are sitting ducks, or they're like they to me they represent a political void, a void in the political scape, whereas and you know the law of nature is wherever there's a void, something's going to come and fill that void. And that's how you get an AIPAC and Donald Trump and the right wing. All of a sudden, you look up and people ask, "What happened? How did we get here?" Well, there's a number of factors, but that void, which is the moderate culture of so many blacks, you know, when they come up in the candidate, they worried about how they appeal. Well, yeah, you have to worry about how you appeal, how you present yourself, how you look. But it's more like they rather be to go along, to get along in terms of what I mean really in that way is what's really the most popular and what's going to get them the quickest dime to the bag. You know, and it's like, well, whoever's offering it. In this case, AIPAC. Well, you know, if you get somebody to come up there, you know, that said, no, I'm not taking that money, you know, and I really want to go all the way for the least of thee, which we know in this country that mostly applies to us as a people in the community. So that means you might have to butt some heads as far as you know. Going against the trend, and that's what I mean by that. But yeah, you're gonna have a lot of like Jasmine Crockett. She didn't take. She took some funding for Israel. It was based in education, though. It wasn't the way. The normal way that AIPAC funds, it was more, it was like an exclusive push or some kind of drive for education,
right?
Like that. But she was like really against all the funding and selling out and all that stuff to Israel, and she had received a lot of pushback from the moderates in the party. And like you get somebody like Saeed or the guy down in Florida, Oliver Larkin, that guy, you would think he was black if you didn't look at his, if you didn't know who he was, because he's for a lot of civil rights, issues and a lot of things that we need in the community, and and even El Saeed, he's for the least of the, as far as a lot of the disparities and daily expenses of what people need in the urban communities and urban development and things like that. But since they didn't hear a lot of black voters didn't hear the magic word, our word, reparations, they say, "Oh, he's not for us." But that doesn't mean that he's not for you. I think for sure, I think you're not just going to go from a culture of AIPAC officials to reparations. You got to at least have a culture, establish a culture of hardcore progressives to even, which sets the stage. And when I say hardcore, I know that may just be back to where we were as far as women's rights, paid family leave.
We need some people that's going to take us there. That's going to be bold enough to take us there. And it was going earlier. Right. It speaks earlier to the conversation about President Joe Biden pushing for, ending student loans. Like we felt like it was, this was outlandish and it's something that's probably not practical. But he saw a road forward, and we need to see more politicians that are bold enough to have and implement and project those roads forward that we need that seem unattainable or seem outlandish for us. So I think that's what you're trying to say, and I agree with you there. So thank you so much for exhaling with us, and thank you for your call. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Reverend Charles Williams, taking your calls on this Exhale Friday. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Breaking news.
I see I'm in today's New York Times word puzzle, and they're asking what is Al Sharpton's title for short. It's Rev. I didn't know everybody knew that. But the people in the New York Times, they should call me Rev. They should call me Reverend. No. When he came to go speak at the UN, he said, I'd first go to Harlem to see those that fought for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we keep it hung up in the house.
It's a great photo. Yeah.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first, and we'll be last. We know who we are.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Shear knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said disciples. And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago. And I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had. And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying, you
can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard.
Keeping it
You can start Little Rock at the high school.
real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Reverend Charles Williams on this Exhale Friday. Certainly taking your calls and want to hear from you. Exhale with us. 1-877-532-5797. Reverend Williams, folks on the message board want to hear your response from our last caller as we are talking about mobilizing, in preparation, of course, for August 28th. But obviously, what the caller was talking about in terms of our voting power and access to the ballot. Did you have a response to that? Folks on the message board said they want to hear from you. Reverend Williams. All right, Trisha, I don't know what's going on, Reverend Williams. Y'all try to get Reverend Williams back on. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'll try to get it.
I'm with you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
I had it on mute. I'm sorry about that.
We ain't got no time to be muting, brother. No time to be muting. Hashtag get off mute.
Get off mute. Get off mute. Let your voice be heard. I got you. I mean, our voting power is strong. I think what we have confused is quite honestly, is that we, in many cases, look for an opportunity, or we look for candidates to be saviors. Candidates ain't saviors. We can get a little bit what we can get out of whatever we can get out of any of these candidates is good. But as you well know, we go to Washington, D.C. every year for our legislative summit. We go to Washington, D.C. for our march. We go to New York for our national convention. And then, of course, our different units of National Action Network go to their state legislature, go to their city council office. Voting is important, and we've got to do it, and we got to put these folks in office. But feeling like we need to be in bed with the super liberal left, feeling like we need to be in bed with the super moderate folks, that's not our call.
Right.
Whoever is in office, we got to fight the fight.
That's right.
It don't matter, because the super liberal left, they leave us hanging all the time. And they always say, we got your back, we got your back, we got your back. Until we get in office, everything else is important but what our issues are.
That's right.
The moderates, they say, we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it. And they ain't doing nothing. So if what we are talking about in regards to putting people in office doesn't include us holding them accountable, then we just talking loud and saying nothing.
And a lot of the times, I was speaking earlier to the caller who was talking about this. And, I was talking about how, I'm a millennial, right? And so, we're into that instant gratification. We want to be able to see it, to believe it, right? And we want things to happen now. We want to happen quick. And, we got to be on the fast track for everything, right? And so when you talk about politics and you're trying to explain, right? You're trying to energize the vote, quote unquote, and you're trying to literally explain to this generation, the next generation, and the generations to follow, right, why voting is important. And then it's like, well, I see these candidates, they're not talking to me, they're not speaking my language, I'm good on that. Or on the other end, you have, there's a lack of civic engagement. So you have folks who live in America who just don't know, right? They're not civically engaged. They don't know, how politicians work and how these elected officials work and what they're designated to do in their positions. And so you have that lack of civic engagement. So we've got to do a myriad of different things in order to, quote unquote, elevate that energy and get people, quote unquote, excited, right, to vote. But we also need to be real and true to ourselves and really step in to where we're lacking. You can't expect for people to be energized around the vote or to take this process seriously, right? If we're not engaging them on a different level, if we're not engaging them where it's understandable for us to be able to leverage our power in this moment in order to really fight for and gain the things that we want to have, the liberties that we want to have, and making that make sense. And so I think the conversation sometimes just gets, convoluted. It's like, oh, you're either progressive or you're not, or you're out there. It's a little bit more simplified to me, in terms of like, what do you want for the future of your son? What do you want to see around in your community? Do you care about adequate schools? Do you care about having access to quality health care? Do you care about being able to pick from any job that you want to be qualified for and being able to apply and be considered and obtain that position? It's a lot that we're talking about here, but I think to simplify things, we get carried away with the conversation sometimes, and it really becomes,
we get carried away with the conversation, but more importantly, we have a whole lot of conversation, and then we don't want to do the work behind the
we don't want to do the work. We don't want to do the work.
You cannot be consumed with who you gonna get in office. What you need to be consumed with is how we gonna get who's in office to do what we need them to do. And I think so many of us, we get so consumed with what one candidate say, I'm gonna put it, it's the old adage of the old political adage, chicken in every pot. I mean, you say chicken in every pot, everybody, yeah, he said chicken in every pot. Okay, so how you gonna get that chicken in the pot?
Yeah.
And how did that politician who said he can put a chicken in every pot, how is he gonna put a chicken in every pot?
Yeah.
So some of the stuff that we just asked for, and some of the stuff that we got these folks saying, they don't even have the ability to do. They don't even have the legislative power. They don't even have the time in office. They don't even have what it takes to actually do it.
Right.
So then what does that mean? That means your role. That means my role. What it means our role. We're the advocate. We got to go in and we got to advocate for it, and we got to show them how to get it done, and we got to we got to do like Roosevelt asked A. Philip Randolph, make me do it, right?
Do it.
We got to put ourselves in the position to make.
Yes. Speaking of which, y'all, wanted to throw in there, as y'all talking about all this, the Kennedy Center board is moving forward right now, not in a few years. They're moving forward right now with placing President Trump's name on the building, and also continuing major. Yes. So are we talking about these things are happening as in our midst, as we are, what I'm talking about? We sitting here talking about, nonsense. Right now it's happening, that they're going to change the name, add his name onto the Kennedy Center. And so, culture is power, and we understand that completely. That's why in the civil rights movement, songs matter, images, everything. Black journalists matter. We have to take control of our narrative, of our story, and get that done. I know that we got
culture.
Yeah.
What happened with Lauryn Hill and all of this? I saw. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, I just they was having a show and it got cut off late or something like that. But
oh no, I didn't know about that. Do we have time to get Al in before the break? Can Al jump in here from Philly?
No, we gotta go.
We gotta go. Al, we coming back to you, brother. We gonna take this break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Reverend Williams. Excuse me. We're gonna take this quick break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Reverend Williams. Exhale Friday, y'all. We'll be right back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared. And
sent in itself the millions to billions, give a sense of value to these. Our history is worthless. We're not a worthless people. We're not a people that are just some ghetto drugs. You know, sometimes in places that we were desperate. And this one shows us that we are.
The only thing that will matter 2 minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here, He's available to you if you but use what He's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is there for your future. And He's there that every day you wake up was a divine decision He made to give you another opportunity to serve.
Keeping it real. Keeping It Real. Dominique Sharpton and Reverend Charles Williams sitting in for Reverend Al Sharpton on this Exhale Friday, taking your calls. Reverend Williams, let's get back to the phones. Brother Al is holding on. Al from Philadelphia, listening to us on WURD. Al, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
That's right, Philly all day. Okay, listen, I'm giving a call to something important. I'm listening to Senator Murphy, Chris Murphy. He's telling a situation about Donald Trump. You know, he's trying to give away that $1.7 billion. And so since they shut it down on one end, he found another way of getting it done. And it was through the federal tort agreement. Basically, what it is if the federal government does something wrong to you, you get compensated. Now, there's been two guys who have gotten millions of dollars from the same route. So since he was going to try this route and give it to the January 6th guys, I say from the other end, we come from the other end with the whole reparations thing, because we have been damaged. We got a track record. They have a track record of the damage that they've done, the damage that they're still doing. So I think that this should be something that we present when that 28th comes up. I think dig in it a little bit, and if it has to be something that, listen, I'm down to work with you on pulling out all the stops on this thing so that it can be brought to the light. That no, Trump, you're not going to give these people this money, because if anything, you can give billions out, you're going to give that money to us. We have the proven track record that you have damaged us as a government with redlining, you know the history, the whole thing. So we got to be a little more proactive in this situation right here. I think that we need that, because a lot of these people have went out and tried to do reparations, but they left this out. This was very easy. It's right there. The Federal Tort Act. Pull it up. It's right there. I went and did some research on it. It's right in your face. We can use that to our advantage. So when that 28th date come up, with everything that's going to be talked about, that needs to be presented also. And I tell you, if me and you got to get on stage and speak on this matter right here, it has to be done, because a lot of these nonprofits or people who've been going after the reparations, basically they sell. They sell in a lot of ways because they're going after it in a certain manner. Obviously, it ain't working.
Yep.
But this one right here, it's in your face. You can't deny it. You're not going to give this $1.7 billion to a bunch of thugs who hurt people, who kill people, and you want to compensate them. No, that move has to be made. And hey, this might even make a little name for yourself for doing an independent run like this. But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because the reparations our community needs it. You ride all over this country. You in New York, you know the pockets. They all need it. We all need it. So no, you're not gonna give nothing. It's time that we approach Trump anyway, because we kind of been sitting on the sidelines, letting this man do what he want to do. He's trying to take everything away from us, and I don't hear no kind of fight about it.
Yeah.
I don't hear no organization coming at his neck about it. Like, no, you're not going to keep doing what you're doing, because we got the numbers. If they are scared of us because we're black, so let them be scared then. Let us show the organization.
That's right.
One other point I want to make. I think that we need to have a national security force around the entire company. Pull in our people who are in these, who don't have the jobs, have some skills. We got military people. We use them as a resource so that we have our own security, because they are hanging us. They're bringing that crap back.
Oh, yeah.
And they're killing us, and the cops is getting away with it. Up and down social media, and I'm watching them just tear our women up. flipping them over upside down, doing whatever they want to do with them. No, we have to show them you're not going to mess with us or we're going to check. That's what has to be done. And I got a plan for that. And it works, and it almost finances itself. So right. I'm just calling to put this on the table to say, look, okay, I don't want my phone call just to be about I'm calling just to talk. No, I need action. I need action.
That's right, Al.
Bring it.
That's right. Bring it.
I'm asking you, if I could leave my information with you, please get in contact with me because I got much more.
Okay, good.
Very beneficial to our community.
Okay, good. We're going to put you on hold so you can give us that information so we can stay in touch with you. And thank you so much for your call, and thank you for exhaling with us. I want to go now to my sister. I see her on the line, head of our Cleveland, our greater Cleveland in Ohio chapter of National Action Network. Always a pleasure to speak with you, Queen. Good afternoon. Marcia McCoy, y'all, keeping it real on this Exhale Friday. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. In the absence of our Honorable Reverend Dr. Professor Al Sharpton and our great leader, Reverend Dr. Charles Williams II, where the Midwest is the best.
All right.
And our Keeping It Real, Tony Award winning Dominique Sharpton.
Hey, that's me.
Thank you for serving with in action, with integrity, honesty, having sound judgment, your courage, your dedication, your selflessness. You got strong communication skills, darling.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your positivity and being passionate and committed to us.
Thank
because
you.
We all we got. Come on, Bishop, with the mule. Come on, Bishop.
Yes.
Lady Dominic.
Yes, sir. Lady Reverend Cavanis.
Dr. Charles Williams.
He's here.
All right. If you are a woke African American, you know 2 or 3 things that are happening in the United States of America today. Number one is that the racist, narcissistic, white nationalist supremacist, convicted felon Donald Trump in the Oval Office is a wannabe king and dictator. With a complicit Supreme Court, he's almost there. He would love to be a forever president. The other thing about this immoral, conflicted, nefarious, and devious psychopathic man is that he will buy your soul if you're prepared to sell it to the company store. Bow to him, lie to him, steal for him, cheat for him, kill for him, and he will weaponize the federal government to pay you and your family billions of dollars for your visa. Ashel Babbitt's family received $5 million for being a part of President Trump's insurrection quest. Today, as we speak, he's trying to reward the insurrectionist crowd, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, that he initiated to overthrow the election. $1.7 billion, $6 billion for that crime that killed police and security forces. Not one dime is he asking the government to give to law enforcement who died trying to maintain law and order. This convicted felon even gave his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, $1.5 million after he pleaded guilty to lying about his discussion with Russia. He at one time gave Dr. Jesse Jackson free rent on Wall Street. But check this out. The One National Action Network organization, along with its illustrious and distinguished leader, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, he would love to have him. Trump would love to have him, to include him in his orbit and to have him be on his side. But Al Sharpton is not for sale, and he will never cease to condemn his racism, his white nationalist supremacist bigotry, and his eviscerating and obliteration of voter rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes.
The genuine honesty, the integrity, and impeccable virtue of our brilliant and vibrant visionary leader is too committed to be bought by filthy, lucrative fame or popularity. His commitment to democracy, love for his people, and the least of his common brothers and sisters are too deep and profound to sell his soul to the company store. Again, we proudly proclaim that the Reverend Dr. Professor Alfred Charles Sharpton is our mastermind for these critical and crucial times.
Yes, 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 yes.
Ditto, ditto, ditto.
All right. That's Reverend E.T. Cavanis and Sister Queen Mother Marcia McCoy from our Greater Cleveland chapter. Thank you so much for exhaling with us. Reverend Charles Williams, you want to take us out?
When we fight, we fight, we win. Rising tide lifts off boats. We can't stop now. August the 31st. August the 28th. August 28th. All roads lead to Washington, D.C.
All right. Hashtag get off mute, brother. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for all those who called in and got through, and those that called in and hung on anywhere. Anyhow, thank you so much for holding on. And as Reverend Sharpton says, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone. Reverend Al told you, Dominique told you, Reverend Williams told you. Y'all, you got to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. We're going to talk with y'all on Monday. Have a